Welcome to this Quick Take Rapid Learning module. Today's topic, making big decisions, how to uncover the blind spots that can sink your project. Imagine you're on the verge of launching a new project. It could be a game changer for you, your department, and your company. You've invested a lot of time and energy building it out. You have buy-in from higher-ups, and your people are enthusiastically on board. As momentum builds, the project starts to feel bulletproof. When a concern is raised about the project, you gloss over it, and your team does the same. Everyone is convinced it's a can't miss. And that is a big problem. At times like these, consensus can be destructive, and dreaming big can cause you to miss the very real threats to your project's success. So, is there a way for you and your team to root out your project's Achilles heel before it launches? In this quick take, you will learn a technique psychologists call prospective hindsight, how it can help you identify fatal flaws before a project is launched, and how to run a team meeting that harnesses the power of prospective hindsight and boosts the likelihood of success. We've all heard the phrase, hindsight is 20/20, and it's true. After the fact, many problems seem obvious, even though they were overlooked at the time. Research has shown that using prospective hindsight, that is, imagining that a future event has already occurred, can provide that same sort of clarity when it's most needed, at the beginning of a project. To understand why prospective hindsight works, let's start with a study from the University of Chicago, which shows how our brains process information about past events versus future events. Two groups were given a list of events. For example, an executive doesn't meet his deadline, or a woman's party is a failure. The first group was told the events had already happened. Subjects were asked to write down as many explanations as they could think of for the failures. The second group was told the events were going to happen in the future. These respondents were also asked to come up with explanations for the failures. The hindsight group, the people who thought the event had already occurred, generated significantly more explanations compared to the prediction group. So, there's something about contemplating past events that allows us to consider the causes of failure more fully. But how can we bring that same sort of thinking to future events? In a follow-up study, researchers tried to answer that question. This time, participants were given a list of future events and told to use prospective hindsight, to imagine these events as if they'd already happened. That simple mental hack increased the number of explanations by 30%. So why does prospective hindsight work? The researchers said it's because our brains are overwhelmed by uncertainty when we think about the future. Maybe the project will succeed. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll succeed in some respects and fail in others. Maybe a given course of action is right. Maybe it's wrong. As we try to process all these possibilities, we get stuck. So we narrow our thinking. We gloss over potential problems and become more susceptible to groupthink. But when you look at a future event as if it already happened, you remove much of that uncertainty. People feel free to be more critical and less protective of ideas and less subject to social pressure or groupthink. Here's how to apply the principle of prospective hindsight for your next big project. Conduct a pre-mortem, a technique designed by psychologist Gary Klein. Before the project launches, ask your team to imagine that it has failed and that it's now up to them to figure out what went wrong. Here is a step-by-step approach to conducting a pre-mortem session in your organization based on the research. Step 1. Gather everyone who will have a significant role in the project. Set aside about an hour for the exercise. Step 2. Ask everyone to imagine that it's 6 months or a year into the future, and the project in question has failed spectacularly. The question for the group is, what caused the project to fail? Step 3. Give people 5 to 10 minutes to write down every reason they can think of, including problems they wouldn't normally feel comfortable bringing up. You may ask team members to share their lists publicly, or you may want to collect the lists and have a designated employee record them so there is some measure of anonymity. Step 4. Post all of the reasons we failed on a whiteboard or projection screen. See if the list sparks any further ideas. Step 5. As a group, work together to identify the items of greatest concern, specifically issues that you haven't adequately addressed and would spell disaster for the project if they occurred. And finally, number 6, close the loop. Schedule a follow-up meeting to discuss the critical issues you've identified and come up with positive solutions to address them. Since pre-mortems focus on the negative, you may want to end the meeting on a positive note. You might say something like this: "Now that we've identified threats to the project, we can come up with strategies to address them, which will give us even greater chance of success." Let's review what we've learned. Prospective hindsight is an effective way to troubleshoot a big idea. Treating a future event like it already happened helps people to think more critically. A pre-mortem exercise can expose your project's potential pitfalls and help it succeed. Thanks for watching. Now return to the program page and take the quiz. Also, please take 15 seconds to click on the survey link and fill out an evaluation of this program.